Hi, everybody. I am so excited. Yay. So excited for this call. You are going to be enjoying this, I believe, because I prepared my favorite topic to talk about today. I'm so excited. So I'm just going to give everybody a second to sign on. I see so many familiar faces. Hi. This is my new house, my new office. You can kind of see. I'm excited. So this is so fun because it's our first session of the Arrive community, and it's my first session in this new office. So it feels like really good. Mazel, good vibes, all really cool. So why don't you just tell me in the chat? I see so many of my friends, so many of our humans that I love so much are here. So that's so fun. Why don't you just, hi. Just tell me in the chat, where are you watching from? So many of you I know personally, which is so nice. Atlanta, Utah, Irving, Texas, Toronto, London, LA. Oh my gosh, did you wake up early? We are going to vary these times so that we can hopefully try to accommodate as many people as possible. South Dakota, Detroit, Naples. Oh, you're not so far. Sarasota, you're not so far. Cleveland, Ohio, Connecticut. Connecticut is one of my favorite places. So fun. Tulsa. Awesome. This is really cool. So I want to get started in a second. Before we get started, just so we give people a couple minutes to find us, I want to hear from you in the chat. What do you want out of this? Like, why did you feel that this would be cool? Is it to keep momentum going because you just graduated from me to do this? Is it because you've been listening to the podcast and you're like, I want to take that next step towards action? Is it because you want community? Is it because you want Stacy's session tomorrow and all those other cool guest experts? What is it that you most are hoping to get out of this? Accountability and motivation. Okay, you're definitely going to get that. Momentum. Hi, Marianne. You're definitely going to get that. Jess Cooper, I love this. To do scary things with more confidence. Yes. Love that. Want to pin that comment. Hi, Tyler. Keep momentum. Debbie says, hi, Debbie. Well, she's just telling us where she is. She's in Pennsylvania. For infusions of your energy. That's so sweet. Hi, Kim. You guys are all so awesome. I love that you're still here. I get to hang out with you. Momentum and further concentration on individual content. Yep. Awesome. Hi, Rena. Help with next steps after Made to Do This. So some of you, just so you know, you're like, what's Made to Do This? So Made to Do This is a program. It is my 12-week coaching program that really takes people from this place of what do I want to do with my life to an idea, to iterating and validating that and sort of building a business. And we open that up every few months. But Arrive is another thing that we put together, which is just a lovely complement to that. Natalie's here. She's like, I needed a fresh push. Hi, keep momentum going. Momentum community, launch my podcast, pod and print shop confidence. Yes, you're going to get that. A kick in the pants. I love it, Katie. We all need that 100%. I'm long on ideas and short on bringing them to fruition. Okay. So we're going to just get into so much of that. Guidance, ideas and motivation, inspiration. Maria, you're from Long Island. Yes to all the things. I was born on Long Island. I don't know if you guys know that. Accountability, encouragement, amazing. Okay, good morning, beautiful. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna get started right now. So here we go. And if anybody joins us, then I'm sure they'll pick right up. And people, and we'll always send you guys a replay of this as well. Okay, so first things first, welcome to this beautiful community. I'm so excited that you guys are the first people who are here on the first call. It actually says in the Talmud that it's decided before you even step into this earthly world, who will be at every gathering you have. The guests that will be at your wedding, the people that will be at your sons and daughters' bar and bat mitzvahs, the people who would be at any gathering. And so it was written in the stars that we would be here together. I'm just saying, that's an idea that's been written for 3,000 years. So here we are. So a couple things I just first want to say is what you can expect in this program, just to be super, super clear. So every single month, I will be doing a coaching session with you on a topic that I think is going to give you life. And I will announce today's topic in a second because I'm very excited about it. The other thing that you can expect every month is that we'll have a guest expert session. And so, as you know, tomorrow, Stacey Tuschel will be here, and she has what's called the foot traffic framework, which is excellent for helping you bring in revenue, get more clients in the door. And she's like a whippersnapper from the Midwest with lots of energy and clear directions for you. You will eat her up with a spoon. And then every single month, based upon what we're discussing in those two sessions, my session, the guest expert session, we as a team will create a guidebook for you. We will give you a directive as to what steps we are all as a community going to work on together through the month. And then we will keep you accountable, and we will all start to get into that action, which I think will be really helpful. So you'll have something to do every single month. And in addition to that, we will be celebrating those of you who are taking steps forward and being brave and courageous and iterating and making messy things by giving you shout outs and features in my email list, which is very big, sending things out about you, also mentioning you and giving features to people on the podcast, just because why not? We want to just give you extra reasons to be excited to do the work. And I want to give you as much as I can. So that's it. And in all the sessions with the guest experts, as well as with me, there will be time for Q&A. So there'll be time for you to talk directly with people. And that's it. Okay, so let's start with today's session. So today we're going to talk about two things that we probably will talk about again, but we're going to at least open up the conversation. Desire and money. We're going to talk about money and desire. And we're going to start with that because when Gina DeVee, who's one of my best friends, when she was with us, I had her recently come in to do a guest expert session in our Made to Do This program. And I said, so as we're wrapping up, what is your suggestion to all the folks listening? And she said, focus on money-making activities. Okay. Now, I'm guessing, and I think I'm guessing right, that the reason you're all here today is because you want to live a more epic life. You want to come out of the shadows and stop shrinking and be the fullest, biggest incarnation of yourself. Am I right? You can just nod your head. I can see you all. Okay, good guess. So I'm always a fan of the Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. And if we cut right to the chase, we gotta come from a place of where's the money coming in, okay? Because I know my people, I've gotten to know many of you personally, and I know the people, and I get a vibe because what we put out, we get back. So I know that the people who choose to be in my circle, we have a very strong value to be a very good person. Is that correct? You want to make an impact. Because if you were the kind of person who was like, I just want to make money for money's sake, you'd be at a real estate seminar right now, because that is a much faster way to make money. Or you'd be at some financial thing or a million other things where it's all just about money in and money out, right? Well, here where we're all meeting, the intersection where we all meet is I want to get to be myself and do purposeful work and make a lot of money doing it. Now, I want to sort of debunk some of the garbage that surrounds money because it's so crucial, okay? It's fascinating to me how people have shame around wanting to make more money. Shake your head, yes, if you have any clue what I mean, if you have any sense that there's some shame around that. Yeah. So in order for us to not self-sabotage bringing in and allowing in this wealth, we have to get really clear about what it means to make money, why it's good to make money, and why you're going to serve the world making that money. So part of it is we don't give ourselves permission, period. We don't give ourselves permission. I think that there is a belief that there's an inherent belief that if I'm a good person, I'm not that rich. Because if I'm rich, I'm greedy, or somehow I did something to someone. And I want to give you a definition of what rich can mean. Rich is the ability to afford all of the things and experiences required for you to fully experience your authentic life. So I'll say that again. Being rich, the definition for me, is the ability for you to afford all the things and experiences required for you to live your most authentic life, to fully experience that. So one of the greatest obstacles to making money is not a lack of good ideas or opportunities. It's that we refuse to give ourselves permission to make that money. And what we're doing in this program is what that definition is about. It's bringing in the most amount of money so that you can live the greatest expression of yourself. And so we want to understand we can't give that which we don't have, right? And so the way I see it, we need a lot of conscious, good people who are making lots of money, right? Because we can do really good things with that. Also, we get to have the life we want. When people say money doesn't buy happiness, I think that's the only thing it does. That's all it does, because it gives you freedom to do what you want to do. Otherwise, we don't need it, because money itself is, who needs money? It's just paper, right? And we don't need money beyond what we need, right? But money affords us the ability to have freedom and to make choices. And when Gretchen Rubin was on my podcast, and she wrote a book called The Happiness Project and has a show called Happier, I asked her that, do you need money to be happy? And she said, 100% yes. 100% yes. And so there's a lot that surrounds money, and there's a lot of beliefs around money that we just have to make a decision to let them go. Now, we're going to talk today about desire, right? We're going to talk today about what you desire to create. When it comes to desire, and when it comes to making money, and when it comes to all the things you want to live an epic life, there's one thing that's for certain, which is you're going to have to allow yourself to get uncomfortable. Okay? You're going to have to give yourself this permission that this is going to be uncomfortable. You know why? Because growth means you're shedding some stuff that doesn't fit you anymore. And whatever you were holding on to, there's a comfort in that. And I've seen myself and I've seen people hold on to their comfort zone because the idea of growing is so scary. And one thing I can tell you for certain is that people want, as much as they can, to have a secure life. They want security. They don't want risk. So they will not spend, not try, not dream. And yet being on this planet is risky, just being alive, right? Because we don't really have the control that we think, but certainly playing small, not being who we are, not dreaming, those are not things that are going to give us anything other than a feeling of being stuck. Barbara Corcoran is such a spitfire. And when she was on the podcast, we were talking about money. This woman is a billionaire. She's self-made. It's an incredible story. She grew up 10 brothers and sisters, slept on the couch, was a waitress, started a real estate company, Corcoran Group. She's just unbelievable. And she said, money is meant to be spent. It's like blood in the body. It's got to keep moving, right? So it's not about holding on to it, right? That's lack. That's scarcity. So I want you to understand that greed and poverty come from the exact same space, which is lack. So you can be wealthy and not greedy. Greedy is lacking. Poverty is lacking. Wealthy people, true wealth is generosity. Keep it moving. So Barbara Corcoran says to me, any money that comes in, I'm already aware of where it's going. In and out, right? What does the economy need? That, keep it moving. What do I need? If I have love, give it away. right? And what happens? More room for more to come in. Do you see the flip of that paradigm? So greedy is lack. Greedy is, I got to hold on to it. It's mine. Where's that coming from? A feeling of either I'm not enough, so I have to have this money to make me enough, or there's not enough to go around, so I got to keep mine. No, there's plenty of it. There's tons of it. And I want you to understand every single thing in Mother Nature's gorgeous universe was intended to live to its ultimate capacity before it leaves this earth. Every single thing in nature was intended to have the full expression of itself before it leaves this earth. I see that in the animal kingdom. I see that in the rainforest. I do not see that with humankind. Do you hear what I'm saying? I see human beings who've decided they're not worthy of flourishing to their greatest capacity. So we cut ourselves off. That's not the intent. I don't know if you know this, but the word desire means of the Father. Did you know that in Latin? That's what it means. So whether you believe in God or some higher intelligence, desire was put inside of you. So there is something so spiritual about having a desire. And if you have a certain desire, it's put inside of you for you to fulfill that. So we're talking about both of these things because they do go together. So let's talk about desire for a moment. Oftentimes, what we are hearing from ourselves and from other people is, this is what's not working. This is where I'm stuck. And there's a complaint and there's a repetition of the lack. This is where I'm not fulfilled in my marriage and my business, is just over and over and over again, right? What we need to start to cultivate is, this is what I desire. So in order for you to start to bring in the life you want, we have to constantly stand at our edge. We have to stand at the threshold of possibility. We have to stand at the threshold of optimism and this eager awaiting of what's coming based upon what we desire. So we kind of trust the synchronicity. Okay, that if there's a desire implanted within us and we get curious and excited about that coming into our life, we go into a receptive place. Okay, so we know there's masculine and feminine energy, right? Anatomically, the female receives and the male gives, right? And I'm just talking from anatomy. Obviously, women give and men receive. I'm just talking about female and male energy, which we both have, all of us have both, okay? But that feminine energy is the energy of receiving. And we all need to practice that. What that means is we get to be curious and excited about what's coming in without trying to control it or making a decision that it's not coming. And here's all the reasons why I'm now really upset, because I'm going to keep focusing on what's not here. That's masculine in terms of going to a decision, not staying in the openness, not staying in the curiosity. And again, men and women have both of these energies. I'm just talking about what that feminine energy is like and where we can come in from a place of receiving. There's so much magic in that, right? If you look at the anatomy, the female takes the sperm and from there creates all this magic, right? So much potential comes from this little seed, but we trust that, right? And that whole process, it evolves completely on its own. I sometimes think about how a woman, she's sleeping, she's got her hands behind her back, she's reading, she's running, and all the while, a baby is being formed. And that we don't even stop to realize what a miracle that is because we take it for granted. The sun rises and sets every day. We have to get excited about the idea that up until this moment and forever and ever, as long as you're here, as long as the world keeps spinning, there is a synchronicity where everything is constantly lining up for your good. And I bet if you stopped for a second, you can think of times in your life where you released the wanting to create and control what the outcome is and where things showed up. Have any of you had an experience where you desired something and you got curious and a little scared, but you were willing to stay open to something beautiful happening and things started to come? Every single one of us is available. Every single one of us has the ability to connect with the same magic of the universe, the same abundance, all of it. Nobody is inherently not worthy or available for it. But we block that over and over and over. Have you ever met a girl? Let's just use this as an example, because I know a few, right? I'm a girl with a lot of girlfriends. And there are some girlfriends of mine who they have this little bit of a frown right here. And they have this continuous belief that the guys aren't there. There's no good men, right? And they put out this energetic sort of like decision. It's almost a decision of like, this is just the way it is. So that reverberates, right? And it kind of clouds everything. So we look for the evidence of what we believe is true. So I have a couple of girlfriends like this, and then they go on a date and they're carrying that belief. Men can't be trusted. All the good ones are taken. I'm too old. I'm not even worthy of it. And they come home from the date and they say, here's all the reasons why I can already tell this person's not good, not trustworthy, right? And we constantly project an image of what we see onto what is. So really, we're playing a movie constantly of what our own beliefs are telling us. So we do this with our careers too. We do this with all of these things. So I want to start to play with, over the course of you being with us, I want to play with what's actually what you really desire, and starting to ask the questions of what would be the most pleasurable way for me to wake up every day and make money? What do I really want? And if I stopped saying what's possible and how I think it's possible, and I was open to magic, what do I really desire? And I'm curious right now. I want you to take a second, if you have a pen and paper, and I want you to write down what you desire. And don't think about the how. Let that go for a second, because we're actually going to work on the how, right? We're going to work on the how, and you're going to start to see the how coming together. But right now, your job is just to get really excited and curious about what would make this life epic. If I could go to the next level, what would feel next level for me? Just take a second and write that down. And if you want, once you have something written, maybe you can type it in the chat so we can take a look at it. And just to give you an example, I want you to play full out with this. I'm going to push you throughout this program to go to your edge and to let go of resistance. Okay. I have found for myself, I do a lot of breath work, and I find that when I'm deep in the breath work, the biggest reveal is surrender. The biggest dropping in is take your hands off the ledge, let go, right? There's so much resistance. There's so much resistance. We're so used to it. We don't even feel it there, but I can see in some of the answers, you're even, judicious and careful about what your most epic desires are. This is not a place for that. You get to let go and be unleashed. To give you an example, going back to Gina, and I'm sorry I keep using her, but like, she's literally one of my best friends, and I Vox with her every day. So she comes up top of mind. So if any of you don't know who Gina DeVee is, I know a lot of you do. You're like smiling, like, yeah, Kath, we're in your program. We just heard her come in. But she is Jen Sincero's coach. And I have a bunch of books on my desk, including Jen Sincero wrote You Are a Badass. And okay, so if you look at the opening of the book, she inscribes it to Gina. Okay, because Gina is her coach. Okay, and it's just it's big blessing that she's one of my best friends, because I feel like I get that coaching constantly, and we coach each other, which is really nice. An example of epic life. Let me give you an example. Okay, so Gina had been a marriage and family therapist, eking it out. I mean, scraping quarters together. And this is a person who like has an MFT at this point, living in Detroit, making $35,000 a year, saying, WTF, like this sucks. And she says, and those of you who were in the session heard her say this, she said, I was always amazed at how people would squeeze out the $40 to see me in couples therapy, but they would happily pay the $10,000 retainer for the divorce attorney, which is disgusting. And that says so much about what we believe is possible, doesn't it? I'm going to spend $10,000 to get divorced because on the other side of that is my freedom, but I'm only going to spend $40 an hour on a therapist to help maybe save and bring a miracle to my marriage, right? Interesting. Anyway, she wound up leaving that because that cycle was not serving anyone. And she saw that when people spent $40 an hour on the work, they didn't do the work. They'd talk, get in the car, and fight the whole way home because there's no skin in the game. It's $40 an hour. You don't really care that much about it. You're going through the motions for a lot of these couples. And so she decided, this isn't serving me. This isn't serving anyone. I'm barely getting by. She wound up changing things around and she wound up going into coaching. She was doing okay. She started making a lot more money, but then she wanted to really like turn it around. And she asked herself this question: what would be my greatest desire? What would be the most pleasurable way to make money? And she sat and took a breath and really like tried to like ask herself and her higher intelligence, like, Gina, what was meant for you? What's the most epic possibility if you passed your edge and you went all in? And she had this idea: I'd want to like tour the world. I'd want to go to the Greek islands and Cairo and Bali and coach, like travel to the most luxurious places, see this beautiful world that God made, and coach at the same time. And do you see what I'm saying about how like taking the lid off of resistance, like that's just the most epic thing. Could I stay at 5-star resorts, the Four Seasons in Cairo, the Ritz in Versailles? Like, could I do that? Well, a week before she asked that question, she was working really hard to try to sell these packages to women for like a couple $1,000s. And, it was like every time she'd have to get on a sales call and all this stuff. She comes up with this idea of like destination retreats that were super expensive. Like minimum was like $25,000 for the package, blah, blah, blah. Plus they had to fly themselves there. Okay, this is expensive. She puts it out there the next day and she pre-sells it, right? Because she just puts the idea out, creates a really simple sales page, calls people up. She sells out in one day. She paints this picture. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Why did that work? Why do you think that worked? Because it's kind of amazing. And by the way, she then went on to do, $65,000 packages, which by the way, she's very transparent. This is all on her site. Why did that work? Yes, because they wanted it to. Yes, because of vision. Yes, because the vision she painted, correct. Because they want to cross their own edge, right? They want that epicness. They want that fullness. And she was holding a space to give them permission where it was very energetically. So I want you to understand, there is a vibrational match for everything. Okay. And what people are actually paying us for when they buy our painting, when they take our class, when they, you name, whatever it is we're selling, a service, a product, anything. I mean, you see it. I mean, this is a splendid jumpsuit. You can't really see how cute this is because it looks like a tank top, but it's really a very cute jumpsuit. Anyways, the point is that whatever it is that we buy, okay, it's not this material or the color. It's the energetic exchange. There's an energy to the brand. There's an energy to the person. There's an energy to the vision, and everything has a vibrational match. So we get to choose our fishing hole, right? We get to choose the people we serve. We get to choose how much money we charge, right? And we don't, like I said, if you were watching my Instagram, I said the other day in a clip, going back to this idea about money, we don't sell price, right? We don't sell price. We sell value, right? And there's an energetic match for everything. So there are people who are going to pay extra to get organic food. Whole Foods has no problem staying in business. Yes, you can buy food at the 99-cent store. There's an energetic match for that. And then there are people who willingly spend 20 times more to go to Whole Foods and get the same food at a much higher value. There's an energetic match. Are you getting what I'm saying? We're gonna keep unpacking it, but I want you to take that resistance down a notch and step over that edge a little bit. I know it's scary because you go into this place of who am I to do it? I'm not worthy of it, or the how. It won't happen. It's not possible. This is just like painting pictures of like cartoon characters that will, it's not real. I'm just saying words. No, you're not. Let's do it again. Can you stretch a little further and write it again? And you're going to say, Kath, I already wrote the biggest, most epic way I can make money. Can you do it one more time? Can you go back? Is it possible you can stretch a little further and go deeper with, but this is what I'd really desire. Like hearing what you just said, that example of like, well, instead of coaching 20 women in a room, I'd want to go around the world and they have them pay my way around the world and make $300,000, $400,000 a weekend. Yeah, that sounds good, right? That sounds real good. And what did she need to do? She needed to just paint that picture and hold that energy for them because they were ready to go on that trip. So let's go back and go deeper with that. What do you really desire if you went over that edge? Oh, I'm really liking these answers that are coming in now. Really liking these answers. Can you paint a picture for me? Because words have energy. Can you go even deeper here and paint some pictures for me? Because I'm loving. Marianne, I love what you wrote. That's my girl. Good job. Okay. So Marianne wrote destination creativity retreats in Glasgow, London, Tuscany, Mykonos, Istanbul. Yes. Sign me up. That's beautiful. There's an energetic match for that. I guarantee it. So part of it is, we're going to talk a little bit about the prescription, right? What's the recipe? And by the way, that's what we're going to keep doing month after month. And with all these guest expert sessions, we'll start looking at various tools that you can start to use to put these things into play. But just know this, the recipe is there. And know this, even more importantly, the money is there, the clients are there, and the room for you is there. I want to look, before I go into the next thing, I just want to see what else you're saying. I want to travel with my family around the world, teaching others the importance of connection and total mental health. I want to meet with people face to face, be with them, connected with our stories, all of us. Beautiful. While traveling, bringing virtual safaris. That's so fun. While we travel as a family through Africa. Create family experiences that deepen our connection. Sunrise and sunset on the beach, 365. Oh, beautiful. Oh my gosh, Renee, that's so nice. Taking inner city kids on rafting trips out west, hearing their laughter and seeing the possibility. Beautiful. So see, my mind already went to, how could you do that and make money from that? And I thought, well, that's an incredible thing. And if the inner city kids themselves couldn't pay for it, how could you create an opportunity for an investor to get to fund that trip? You know, it's always about, instead of saying this is the reason this can't work, it's asking a good question. How could that work? For instance, do you know that when somebody is building a building at a college, right? Harvard is creating a building. Okay, let's say Harvard, let's say any school, Harvard, Florida State, UCLA, it doesn't matter, Michigan, Northwestern, let's just use Michigan, okay? It's more sort of in between Harvard and Florida State. It's a really good school. So let's say University of Michigan is going to build a new building. Do you think they ever have a problem getting it built? Do you know what they do? Let's say they need $16 million to build this building. What they do is when they call people up, let's say it's some important alumni, what's the offer? What do you think the offer is? Because they need money, right? What's the offer? The offer is, I'm just going to scroll down because I'm in the middle of your messages because I was looking at prestige, legacy, name on the building. Correct. Do you know what the offer is? Let's talk about an energetic match, because even that is doable. Why is that doable? Because it's not, I'm so embarrassed, I'm calling you. Would you mind giving us $500 or $1,000 or $200,000 or anything, please? None of that. We go paradigm shift into, Mrs. Smith, how are you? I'm glad you're good. I'm calling you today because what I want to offer you is legacy. Money can't buy it. But you went to University of Michigan and you became a successful doctor, and we're building a science lab. Your name should be on it. Do you want in? Do you feel the energetic match there? People are going to clamor to get in, and you're going to see 3 names on the building, and they're going to have to split it up because somebody wants in who didn't get in. So now the library goes to so-and-so else, this other person, right? So that they get legacy. Can they buy legacy? Is that available? Now it is, right? When Broadway shows, which so sadly right now, they're dark, they'll come back. But when Broadway shows are coming to stage, a lot of those calls get made. And it's not, I'm so embarrassed. We need to raise money for this play. It's called Hamilton. We think it's going to be good. We're not sure. Could you give us a little? No, we are creating a project. This is going to raise awareness about civil rights, about this, about that. Do you want your name on it? Because we have room for 6 producers. I want in. He's already in. No, I want executive producer credit on this. I want my name on your work because you're Lin-Manuel Miranda. I can't write a song to save my life, but you can, and I get to say that I'm the one who made this happen. I want my name on it. Now, do we know if these shows wind up, some of them become huge, right? Like Hamilton did, some of them don't. It doesn't matter. What I'm telling you is we got to switch up the paradigm because there's an energy in everything. Now, what's inherent in these offers? Full-on worthiness, right? There's no apology. It's the opposite. It's, I'm doing you a favor. Oh, I know I'm doing you a favor, right? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we are not in control of the outcome, period. So we leave that to God. So if you're offering somebody this jumpsuit, do you know if it's going to look the best on them like it did on the model that, no. Are you responsible? No. You're responsible to make the best jumpsuit you can. If you're creating a play, do you know that it's going to become fantastic, make Tony Awards? No. Are you responsible? No. We let God take care of that. We let the universe take care of that. But we get to show up and play full out. And playing full out means I don't shrink. So when I said before, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable, that is the cost of admission here. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable, right? And it's going to get more and more comfortable as you go because you're going to feel more and more worthy of what you're saying and what you're doing to sell, which I was about to say to serve because they're the same. But we have to have an energetic understanding of how things work, and there's an energetic match for everything. It's all vibration. I'm a musician, so I'm coming from a music background. You know, when you think about instruments, right, what we're trying to do, especially when we have 2 or 3 instruments playing together in an orchestra, we're trying to create resonance and harmony. We want them to come together. And that frequency is so beautiful because what happens is to the ear, it all sounds like it's one, when really it's multiple instruments. Because if it doesn't sound like one, then something's out of tune, or someone's playing on their own sort of, they're on their own little quest, right? So we want to come together. So resonance is what we want to create in the world, right? And in order to do that, we're going to have to step out of our resistance. And if I could really just hand you on a silver platter the answer to all your life's problems, it's just putting that resistance down. And it's really hard because you do not want to let it go. Let's look at the resistance for a second that comes up with, like, if I said to you, make the call, tell somebody you're going to charge $25,000. And okay, let's say it's not COVID, because we have to kind of work around what could be the most epic way. And by the way, there's such epic ways right now to make a living doing what you love. And we'll talk about that in 1 second. But as a sidebar, Tony Robbins just did his UPW for the first time virtually. It was the most successful event he ever did. Just saying, right? Because he can't do an event anymore. Not only was it most successful in terms of profit, people commenting, because they always get a survey, said it was the most effective event. Why? We're finding that virtually people actually chat in a more disarmed way, and they meet people in a deeper place. If you go to an event and it's a live event, maybe you meet the 4 people sitting around you, right? Just in terms of physicality, like what's possible. You don't necessarily meet 100 people who are sitting all around the arena, but in a virtual space, you do, right? So don't even go to that excuse of, well, there's no way now because I can't travel to Cairo. There's so many ways for you to do it and actually help the environment, give the environment a little break right now with our carbon footprint, because we'll get back to traveling. You can also ask yourself, how could I create something in person that would be safe? That's another really interesting question to ask. And what would that look like? And would it be smaller groups? And where would it be outside? Because now I'm living in Palm Beach, and I'll tell you, I go to the beach almost every day. And I've even gone with friends and we're sitting on the beach 6 feet apart, and in small groups, you can totally make that work outside. But that's besides the point. The question is, if I said, you're going to make that offer right now, $25,000, meet me in the Greek islands, let's say. Do you feel that resistance? I can see it, right? You're looking at me like, there's no way, right? And that's okay, because we're going to build up to that. We're going to build up to that, but we're going to at least start you with an offer of 1,000, 3,000. We're going to start creating offers, right? Where you're at, and we'll keep increasing the weight like on a barbell. Okay. But let's talk about that resistance for a second, because I'll tell you what doesn't work. What doesn't work is this illusion of denial. Everything's fine. I have no resistance. It's just that, this hasn't happened. This hasn't happened. I've been unlucky. None of that works. What works is, I'm not going to pretend that I'm fine. There's resistance there. So what do you think that resistance is about? What comes up? Is it, who am I to ask for that? I'm not worthy of it. Who's going to pay me that? What's some of that resistance in there? The people, wait, let me just read this again. The people who can afford that don't need me. Right. Fear of failure, full on admit the resistance on my back. Who am I? Imposter syndrome, not worthy. Yeah. What if I screw it up? No one will pay me. Fear of failure. Who's going to pay me that? So what's really interesting, and there's so much here that we're going to keep digging into, but do you know that the moment the person even pays for the thing, they get a transformation? So before you even serve them, they get something out of just paying you. And you've had that feeling, I can assure you. That's the feeling of retail therapy, right? That feeling of, you go to Saks or Neiman Marcus once a year and you let yourself buy that jacket. And it's expensive, and you do it anyway. And it's $900 or something like that. And there's a moment of like, and then 3 days later, you're like, why did I do that? Why did I buy that? You did it for that reason, because in that moment, you allowed yourself to feel fierce and worthy, and you took care of yourself. And really what that jacket gave you was that moment. And maybe you wear it 3 more times, but you realize you don't really wear it because it's a little actually too tight. But you get something out of the transformation. Same thing if somebody signs up to go to film school. They've been putting it on hold for a long time. They enroll at USC, they pay the $40,000 for the first semester or whatever it is. Whoa, did they just get a transformation? Because they've just told themselves, I take myself seriously as a creative person and I'm going in. I'm going to show up. I got skin in the game. And now, even if this teacher never showed up for class, they're going to show up and their identity has changed, right? So, think about the things that you've been a part of in your life and how little it's taken for you to feel that somebody cared and showed up and gave you a great experience. We tolerate so little that what I know you will give, because I know you, I know a lot of you personally, and I know my people, you'll give so much. So much. I'm not worried about that part at all. I know that what we all have in common is what I always talk about, which is radical empathy. I know that that's a given. So imagine somebody gets that. What do people want more than anything? That. They want someone to make them feel seen, someone to create a space for them. How many of you do that anyway? That's you. So they get to be around that, right? And the way I often see it, and you'll hear me say this a lot, because I think one of the biggest things that's going to continue to come up through the course of this work is, who am I to do this? And I like to say, who are you not to do it? Our job in this world is to be available. That's it. And when you're available, the opportunities just come raining down. When Bob Goff was on my podcast, he's like, I didn't know the first thing about building a school in Africa. And all I know is I'm available every day. I say, God, use me. I'm available. The light, in a taxi cab, the light is on or off. He's like, the light's on. I'm available. So I raised my hand. There's a lot of integrity in that. Leadership means I'm not perfect, but I'm willing to raise my hand, which means I'm going to fail publicly, which means I won't get it all right, but I am so available, and everyone else around me is sitting it out and saying, who am I to do this? And I'm saying, I don't have a choice to sit it out. Because if you were put on the planet, you're needed, you've been assigned, and I'll continue to remind you of that. So you don't get the luxury to say, who am I to do that? We got a lot of work to do. So just get available. Just start getting super available, right? So Bob Goff says, he's like, I was an attorney, not super jazzed about it, but available to do a good job at it. And I get a call one day from someone who says, we're going to Africa. We need to build a school. Can you come on a trip? Sure, I'm available. Like in Yes Man, that Jim Carrey movie, just yes, 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 I'm available. So he flies to Africa. He's sitting there. He goes, well, what do you need me to do? Pick up a shovel and start digging? Call a fundraiser? What do I need to do? And they're like, all of the above. He's like, cool, let's just start. So they just get messy. They get into it. They're working on it. They're looking at lumber. At the same time, he's on his computer trying to get Wi-Fi, emailing everyone he knows, doing what I just said before about the school in Michigan. Do you want to be available for an amazing opportunity to help build a school in Africa? Do you want that legacy? Yes, yes, yes. Boom, boom, boom. They built 1,500 schools. He got a call from someone. Do you want to volunteer at San Quentin prison? Sure, I'm available. Let's do that. What are we doing? Well, all these people are murderers and they're going to be released soon. They've all been here 40 years, whatever it is. Do you want to talk to them for a few weeks before they go out in the world? Sure, I'll figure that out. Yep. His entire life, he goes, I'm available for all of it. And he goes, and what's amazing is when you just get available, you realize you are the person for the job because everyone else is unavailable. Do you hear that? Everyone's unavailable because everyone has decided, oh, not me. Somebody else is better than me. I'm not the person for the job. I don't have what to say. I'm not good enough. Sure, I know I like to teach. I know I like to bake. I know I like to dance. I know I like to, but not me. I am not good enough to raise my hand and put my work in the world, but other people better be available, right? Because we need art, we need science, we need teachers, we need things, we need clothes, but not me. Someone else should make this jewelry and sell it. And you know what? I'll work for that person because I'm not available. So what is that about? What is that about, do you think? What's that really about? What is it about when we're not available? Let me scroll all the way down. You got it right. Erica said it. You all said it. A lot of you said it. Fear of failing. That's what it's about. Can we all just agree in this moment, on this day, how much fear of failing has cost us? Can we just take a moment for that? Are you, who's fed up with that? Because I am. It's gotta go. And I didn't really know what my work was. We keep figuring it out as we go. We just start, right? We get available and we get in there. And I realized, I thought my message is like, you're seen, you have a purpose, you can do the work in the world you want. And the more I iterate and the more I show up, I realize my message, the one that like hits everyone between the eyes, is be messy, do it messy, get a C+, make it mediocre. And I realize it's because everyone's so freaking afraid of failing. They have to be like, that has to be drilled in. Like, no, and I say this to people, like, you should be trying to get a C, not an A. Because if you're trying to get an A, you're not going to be Elon Musk. You're never, zero, not happening. Because he's up for let's just iterate, beta test it, put it out there with kinks, put it out there, let's go, let's try it. I got to get it out. Because I got to get it out means I got to get the feedback. Right? So I can't try to get the A. That's the wrong goal here. I got to get the C. I got to get to a C. I got to get average, get it out in the world, get my ideas going, get people in front of it, and start getting feedback and start testing it. Because that's how I'm going to get to the brilliance. That's how I'm going to get there. I got to get into the iteration, right? So that's the courage. So it's the courage to be uncomfortable, being mediocre. Let's spell it all out. The courage to be mediocre is maybe the secret to all of this. Because so often, and we're going to do it. It's not like I'm going to hold it back from you, right? So often I'm telling somebody, do this. This is what you should do. You want to grow a following? Do this. You want to start your podcast? Do this. You want to make the offer? Do this. And then they go back to, I just don't know what to do. Yes, you do. I just told you what to do. What you're really saying is, I don't want to do it. I'm so uncomfortable doing it. There's got to be a different way. Someone's got to do it for me, or I've got to get the reassurance that if I do it, it's exact. No, how about get curious? And if you wanted 100 people to buy the offer and 10 do, how about get excited about what that can turn into then? It wasn't 100, it was 10. And so instead of doing 100 people at that convention center, I had to cancel that room because we couldn't fill it. And I took 10 people on a retreat, or a virtual retreat, or I gave those 10 people better experience. And then I realized I needed that time. And then I yes-anded it. And I had each of those people tell 3 friends. And those 3 friends, I went deeper with those 10 people than it's like, let's just get really excited about how failure is the best feedback. And we learn so much from it. And it's such a gift. It's such a gift. I mean, I talk to people all the time who say, God, I wish my partner would tell me how they really feel. That would have just been so helpful if she told me what she wanted for her birthday. I hear people say all the time, I wish my boss would actually give me good feedback instead of keeping it to, close to his chest and then I get fired. It's like, no, like the feedback is so awesome, right? You know how many people are begging me all day long on Instagram? I get DMs. Can you just give me feedback on my idea? Can you give me feedback? It's like, feedback is such a gift. It's an answer key. Let's get excited for it. And, people want legacy, right? We talked about before, everybody wants legacy. And so those of us who have kids, right? We work so hard. Like I know my daughters are starting tennis today at 4:30. I want to give them the most epic life. They're not doing school because I'm I'm not really available for school during COVID. So we created a different experience. I didn't want them on Zoom. So I asked myself the question, how could I make it the most epic situation possible? And I decided to hire a teacher who wasn't going back. She decided not to go back. You know, there's people out there. The teachers are out there. And she's like, I'll come to your house. And I was like, cool, we'll be in a pod. So she comes every day. How awesome is that? And my kids get a teacher to sit with them, and they do math, and then they go in the pool and all this stuff. So they're doing tennis. Anyway, the reason I'm saying this is I worry a lot about what my kids need and creating the most incredible experience for them. Do you know what the most incredible experience is for them? Me taking care of my self-development. Because my kids absorb my beliefs. So when they get to see mommy try something and get excited about, like, this didn't work, this did work, and whether they hear it or not, they feel it, right? They can feel that. So what does this go back to? This is a word that has no place in our life. I want to get rid of one word that has no place in our lives, and that word starts with an S. Who can guess what the word is? It starts with an S, and we cannot have it. It's not happening. We're done with this word. What's the word? Catherine said it. Andrea said it. Marianne said it. Shame. So regret, I'm good with regret. That's okay. That's healthy. I should have done that better. I should have done that better. I want to do that better. I want to improve. That's good. Growth, I think regret is good. Let's have some healthy regret. Let's look at ourselves and take full accountability. And regret is okay. Shame is not okay. Shame is disgusting. There's no reason for shame. No. And you know, whatever that shame is, that is from the outside in. Shame is not inside. Regret might be coming from inside. Oh, I feel remorse. Shame is outside in. Someone put shame on you, or you absorbed your parents' shame. Shame around, don't make too much money, don't make too much noise, don't take up too much space, don't you dare fail, don't you dare. We're not available for it. So I want you to write that down. I'm not available for shame. Not available for that. Regret is okay. That's healthy. You can have things that you regret in your life, but why the shame? And the reason people don't have regret is because they feel shame if they have regret. But if I actually regret it and take accountability, that means I'm a horrible person. And that makes me feel so ashamed. No, how about there's no shame in being broken? We're all broken. We're all a mess. So no shame, no secret. That's why I have a few friends who are alcoholics and they're in 12-step, well, they're sober now, but they're in 12-step programs. It's so freeing being around them because they're like, this is what it is. No shame about it. Just the truth. I got to work on that. That allows me so much permission to be a broken person and have no shame, right? So when you're afraid of iterating, just think about this no shame piece that you send to the world. Boy, does the world need that. No matter what you're going to wind up offering, whether it's your service-based business, your teaching business, your product business, if you can deliver a little bit of that no shame, they're getting so much. They're getting so much. I guarantee you the people you most resonate with are the people who are like, I'm a hot mess like you, but let's just do this thing. Because you're like, great. This is my person, right? And I always said to myself, I'm never going to be able to know or control being the smartest, the prettiest, the skinniest. Hell no. I mean, all those things. It's no. I could be the realist. I could be the most compassionate. I could be the most honest. It's like, I got that race. We can all do that together, right? So no shame. No shame around your desire. And then no shame around who am I to do that? And we go back to, we went all the way back from what we desired, okay? Just to show you what we did. We went to like, what do we desire? We started with money, right? Because we have so much shame around money that we just called it right out. And the reason we called that out first is because if we've got so much shame around making money and then our desires, they include needing and wanting a lot of money, how are we ever going to get there if there's so much shame? So we'll take one step forward and then we'll take 2 steps back because we'll self-sabotage ourselves. So just to examine that for a moment, what might be some of the, let's just throw them out so we can, when we put something out in the world, sometimes it kind of de-escalates it a little bit. So what might be 1 or 2 of the beliefs around money that you absorbed from your parents? or from the world. Maybe your parents were fine with it and had a really good relationship with money, but maybe you absorbed it somewhere else. What might be a couple of the beliefs that you might want to look at for a moment? People with money are selfish. That's a really good one. I've definitely heard that. Money has a ceiling. Money is stability, so don't be risky, right? That's, you gotta hold on to it. There's a lot of lack in that, right? You need that. You hold on to it. People who hold on to their money, they hold on to their love too. People who hold on to their money, they hold on to their emotions. They hold on to what they express. They don't trust. We got to get rid of that. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? It's hard to earn it. Money equals hard. I know so many people that have so much brilliance and they put out a certain amount of offers and hold themselves back because they literally believe they'll die if they make more money because they'll work too hard, and then they will lose their relationship, lose their health. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And again, so I would say, what's a better question? How could I make money and have balance? What's the most epic way to live? Right? Tim Ferriss came out with 4-hour work week. I don't live a 4-hour work week, but I literally work 3 to 4 hours about 4 days a week, period. And I'm able to do that and make multi-7 figures and no shame around that, because that was what my desired intention was. And we can all do that. That's here for everybody. That's available. If someone buys you something, you're indebted to them. There's so much inherent, I'm not worthy of this thing, right? And part of it is, have you had that experience where somebody does something nice for you and you almost feel like you're going to throw up? You're like, oh, it's like, I feel shame immediately. I feel that. I have that in relationships because I had an interesting relationship with my parents. And so when somebody takes the time even to want to know what's going on with me, right? It's really easy for me to shine a light on other people. When people do that for me, I'm like, and I have to push through that resistance of like, I feel so unworthy of this. I feel like I have to deliver something right now immediately. Or if somebody throws me a party or buys me something beautiful or takes the time to write me a poem, I'm like, right? That's healthy though, in the sense that we want to get rid of that. And so it's important to keep putting ourselves in experiences where we can expand past that. So there's a lot of resistance here. So now let's go to the next thing. Okay. I want you to make a quick list. 2 questions I want to ask you that I wrote down. Make a list of the awesome things and experiences that money could add to your life. Luxury, comfort, security, support for my kids, less anxiety, best doctors for my daughter. How beautiful of a wish is that? Amen. Daily freedom. I could hire an at-home physical therapist. I can invest in having a team. Oh yeah, that helps a lot to do good for the world, is have more people. Not only do you employ more people on your team, but you can put out more of yourself because more people can effectively help you do that work. Open my animal sanctuary. Beautiful. Better opportunities for my daughter. A tutor for my daughter. I love this, you guys. I love it. Because these are all such beautiful things. A new boat. I love it. Okay, here's the second question. Well, you already, what's amazing? My second question on my notes is make a list of how you being rich benefits others. And most of you did that with your first list. This is what I mean about this group. Who's more deserving of that than you? That's amazing. But do it again. Make a list of how you being rich would benefit others. And maybe more than just getting your daughter the tutor and all those things. How else is you being rich energetically affecting other people? What are the benefits to other people of you having that rich, wealthy, yummy, full life? Yeah, I love that, Courtney. Teaching others that it's available. You show up in a better way. You get to be of service. Yeah. Yeah, you can expand the work that you do. You can support your family's dreams. You're a better you in the world. Absolutely. I love it. So I want you to start rewiring those neural pathways. There's some trauma in there. And I want you to rewire it I want you to tell yourself, and you can write this down, the money you desire is here for you. I'm going to keep going, but I'll repeat it. The opportunities you desire, the clients, the teachers, the money-making ideas, they're all here. I'm going to say it again. The money you desire is here for you. The opportunities you desire, the clients, the teachers you want to call in, you're sitting here right now. The brilliant money-making ideas, they're all right here. They're right here waiting for you to let go of the resistance to them. Let go of the resistance. We live in the resistance and we need to shift and live in the desire. And the desire is standing always at that threshold of, what can I get excited about? What can I anticipate? What can I get curious about that's coming? And that desire is what wakes you out of bed every day like a lion, like, let's do this thing. Okay, and now I'm going to tell you the bad news, but I'm really just kidding. But this is it, okay? How does all this start to happen? What are you going to need to make this happen? You can write this down. You're going to have to do stuff you've never done before. Okay, I'm going to write it. You can write it down. I'll repeat it. So number one, you're going to have to do stuff you've never done. Number two, you are going to make yourself visible. That's a big one. Number three is even harder than number two. You're going to acknowledge your awesomeness. And the last one is you're going to commit to creating wealth. And most importantly, allow yourself to do it. The good news is that if you, like most people, have a troubled relationship with money or desire, you do have the ability to heal that and transform that like this, because the money it's all here. You're sitting in abundance. It's everywhere. Deepak Chopra, I might have said this to you before, but he does this 21-day meditation. I think Oprah like puts it out often. I've listened through it. It's so beautiful. And you should listen to it. It's great. I think it's free too. One of the things that he always says is the universe is abundant. You look at the ocean, abundant. It goes on for miles. Look at all the sea life, the kelp forest, the this kind of species, the that. You look at the rainforest, abundance. You look at humankind, all the different colors and the rainbows and the hair colors and the personalities and the languages. It's like the foods. I mean, we are like sitting in abundance. And I have news for you. the world is at a very important, beautiful, beautiful pivot, right? Everything's happening for us, not to us. And I do feel like what's happening in the pandemic is kind of like a butterfly going into a cocoon, right? A caterpillar rather. And when this cocoon opens, you just wait for what's coming out, because we needed to stop. The world was moving really fast and was really destructive to ourselves, to our environment. And we get this big pause, and people are recreating the ways that we can have a more expansive life. I just read an article yesterday about how the Time Life building in Manhattan normally has thousands of employees sitting at desks. There's now less than 500 people in that office building right now. And they're saying they're more productive at home because we have bandwidth, right? We didn't have bandwidth during the Spanish flu. We didn't have internet. So people are saying like, I'm more productive and I'm healthier as a human. I'm hugging my kids. I'm taking walks outside, and I'm better off on Zoom with my employees. We get more done. We have less meetings, less foot traffic, less carbon footprint. I mean, just you wait how this is going to turn around, and it's going to be, oh my God, we were just doing it wrong. We were just making it harder than it needs to be. And the amount of innovation and leadership that's coming out of this. And so one of the things is I'd like to invite all of you to get really curious about how much you can build online. All of it, from virtual retreats to selling a product to selling your service-based packages, right? All of it. And we have the tools. I talk to Gina every day on Voxer, which is a free app that lets you send 15 minutes. It's like a walkie-talkie. You can go 15 minutes back and forth. Amazing. I find that the conversations I have with people on Voxer, because all my friends are on Voxer, just deeper, because you know the other person's not interrupting, and you just go all in. You just let it all come out. You talk in a different way. I notice the conversations I have with people on Zoom are different. Somehow there's a little space, and that gives people the space to feel they can open up. They change when they're sitting with you in the room. They pick up your vibration. Maybe they don't say as much. I'm telling you, there's something going on here. Let's bring it in. There's 4.5 billion people online. And I want you to understand a lot of those people, because I know the scarcity. I know what you're thinking. No one's there, no client. There's a lot of people who are actually cashed up right now. And the reason they're cashed up is because they usually take trips during the summers. They usually do other things with their money that they haven't done. They haven't gone to restaurants as much. They haven't traveled. Just remember that there's a lot of human beings. And when you have a few of those humans that can pay you well, you can make free content for all the people who right now need that help for that uplift. Do you see how that works? Yes. So we can help the people who are really in scarcity right now, truly, by showing up and serving those clients who energetically are ready to make that bigger vibrational transaction happen. And you don't need 100,000 of them. You can do really well with 40 of them, right? And then we make a lot of free content and show up and get visible for all the people who need us, who they themselves then need to start creating something. Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm saying? My podcast is free, right? And by the end of this year, we'll be at 20 million downloads. I put myself all into that. It's free. I think it offers a tremendous amount of value. I've heard from people that it's changed their life, and I've never met them. I'm so glad. That's amazing. And I do tons of stuff for free. And we'll talk about that as a strategy. That is so important, not only because it feels so good, but that's how you build a platform, right? It's only going to be a small part of your audience that's ever going to convert. And we're going to talk about that. So doing stuff for free is what you're supposed to do. That's an assignment from God. And it's going to keep building your platform so that you don't have to even ever worry about how many or who's coming in. You just keep giving and giving. And that's why I do those 5-day challenges, which a lot of you have been a part of. I give everything in those 5-day challenges. I don't hold anything back. It's not a, hi, I'm glad you're here. I'll be here for 20 minutes. But if you want any of the good stuff, you need to pay. There's a paywall. We don't do that. I just say, like, let's just do this thing. And I get all in on it. And a lot of people say, I just keep taking those over and over. I'm like, awesome, great. And if I'm teaching something specific, like podcasting or music licensing, I teach the entire thing in the 5 days. And anyone who's been a part of it knows that I do that. And there's no reason not to. There's no reason not to. We can get into that later. So we want to understand there's 4.5 billion people online, and there's plenty of people who can help you build a thriving business, buy your products, your services, your coaching, whatever it is you're going to give. so that you can show up for everybody else and show up for them at the same time. And then we just keep helping everyone rise. Does that make sense? Okay. We're going to get into so much stuff over the next few weeks. Tomorrow we'll be back with Stacy. She's awesome. And we'll get into tactics. We'll be talking about bringing in clients, bringing in revenue. One thing I do want to say though, is that a lot of human beings that I meet have a big old question, which they get stuck in. And just in case any of you have this question, I want to help you turn it around. And it becomes this quagmire where people get stuck here for life. And the quagmire is, I don't know what I really want to do. So then that becomes like, I can't even begin to have these conversations about, I don't even know what I want to do. I don't know what, and we keep saying that. I'd like you instead to try saying, the clues are all around me. And I'm going to give myself the permission to start iterating. So instead of saying, I don't know what I want to do, you start to say, what's the first clue? And then just do that. We're going to start doing things. We're going to start doing and complaining less, because from the doing, the clarity is just going to hit you right in the face, and it's going to be amazing. We are not a victim of our circumstances. We get to create. We get to create so much. Okay. So, I mean, this is just the beginning. How are you guys feeling right now? Good. So feeling it. Okay, good. I have so much written down that we're going to continue to get into. I have so much fun doing this with you that I never get off after an hour, but we'll try to keep it around this time. So over the next few weeks, we have a lot of fun stuff coming up. Tomorrow's our next session. I would love it if you haven't done it already, if you would introduce yourself in the group and maybe push yourself past your edge. Maybe that looks like going live on video and saying, hey, my name is Amy and here's where I'm at. And I would also love to hear, I'd love to hear in the group, and I'll look for it. I'll actually put a post and you can respond to it, but I'd love you to introduce yourself if you haven't already. I know some of you have, but I'd love to hear what you're going to take away from this first session, and what are you going to do with it? Like, is there one thing, I guess the question to ask as we wrap up is, what would be the one step I could take towards a more epic life from what we talked about today? What's one step I could take to have a more epic life based on what we talked about today? And you can type it in the chat. Sit down and plan lesson 1 of the program. That's great. Quit putting the shame on myself. Just start shadow work. Yeah. And if there's anything we talked about today, any sentences that you're like, oh, that was good, that means you probably just want to be reminded of that every day. And I'll remind you of something else, which I say all the time, which is that it's not about change. You know, it's not about becoming something you're not. It's about unbecoming everything that's not serving you, right? Because when you were born, all you were is just magnetic life force, just brilliant, perfect, pure energy. And you came into this world, this beautiful, whole, clean stone. And you reached out your arm and you jumped off that couch. You weren't afraid. And you said hello to new kids at the park. You had none of this stuff. And so your natural state of being is filled with adventure and wonder, and you're ready for the next fun thing at every second. And instead, over the years, there's some like schmutz we got to clean off because we want love, and we want to be loved. So we try to get into resonance with our parents, and they loved us. They did the best that they could. I guarantee it. That's the best they could do. And I bet some of it was really good because you guys are really nice people. So as much as they bothered you and as much as they created some trauma, which they all do, because we pass down our own wounds. So they probably had a few, but they did a lot of good too. You know, they did a lot of good. They woke up with you in the night. I know what it's like to have a 3-year-old and 3 kids also. It's like, there's a lot in there, and they did the best they could, but they probably modeled some lack of self-worth, and they probably modeled tolerating a lot of crap. And they showed you that you should do that because it's safer and it's what is. And they painted a picture that kind of created some shame and some unworthiness because that's what they had. But you're not going to pass that down to your kids because you're going to change. And you're going to change by just going back to yourself and saying, no, I'm okay with being uncomfortable and getting to my edge. And so I want to leave you with that. I want to leave you with the blessing that you will commit to taking that resistance down a notch. Maybe start with being aware of it. Let's start with just being aware of the resistance, and you can notice it in your mind. How's that going to happen? Who am I to do that? This is crazy. That's all resistance, right? Well, let's go back to, let's surrender and get excited about inviting what we desire into our life. And then let's see if we start taking some action, how opportunities might come if we're available for that. Who's with me? Yes, I love it. Great. So this was the funnest way to start my day. I love it. And we're going to be doing this every month. So let's all do this too. Let's take a screenshot right now of all of us sitting here because we're having so much fun. Smile. Love it. And if you feel that this is good stuff, tell people about it. Tell them to join the membership. Be like, let's do this. And we'll continue to grow together. As far as accountability groups, somebody asked, we're going to be allowing you guys to do peer-led accountability groups, and we're going to help you set those up. So we'll talk about that in the group. But tomorrow we'll be back. Tomorrow's session, I believe, is at 3:00 my time. So I'm on Eastern time. I'm just looking at my calendar. Yeah, it's at 3:30. It's at 3:30 Eastern time. And if you ever can't make it, just know that we'll send you a replay, and we will be taking questions. We'll post something so that if you have questions for Stacy ahead of time, just in case you can't be there, but we'll also take questions live. So tomorrow, the way we're going to do it is Stacy and I will be on Zoom, and we're going to stream it into the Facebook group. I think we decided to do that because we were trying to play with both and see which one you like better, but we're totally open to doing it either way. So let's just see how that goes. Let's see how that feels. You're amazing. Thank you for all the love. I had such a fun time with you, and I hope that you sit with this and resonate. Maybe try to get that vibrational match up a little bit today. Just play with that, see what that feels like, and we'll keep growing. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for giving me such a wonderful morning. See you tomorrow.